A silent signal. A stunned courtroom. A dog who spoke for her. The courtroom held its breath. Not a soul moved. The kind of silence that wraps around you, thick and tense. You could hear every pen scratching paper, every soft creak of those ancient wooden benches echoing like thunder. At the center of it all sat a tiny girl, fragile, still. Perched on the tall wooden chair behind the witness stand, her feet dangled, nowhere near touching the ground. Her small hands were folded carefully in her lap, tightly holding onto a threadbare stuffed animal. It was faded, old, and clearly well-loved. Her name was Leia, and she had just turned 8. She wore a pale yellow dress, the kind kids usually pick out for something special, like church, or to feel like a little bit of sunshine when the world feels cold. But today wasn't special. It was heavy. It wasn't Sunday. It was the day Leia had to sit alone, surrounded by adults locked in a bitter custody fight that had turned ugly. To one side of the room, her mother sat, chin trembling, eyes locked forward, dabbing her face with a crumpled tissue. Her lawyer beside her, sharp-eyed and tense. On the other side, Leia's father sat motionless, hands clenched, shoulders stiff. His eyes had a distant look, and he trembled slightly. But Leia? She wasn't looking at either of them. Her eyes? They were locked on a dog. A beautiful golden retriever sat quietly in the aisle, just beyond the courtroom's wooden barrier. His coat shimmered like honey. His vest read, "Service dog. Please do not pet." His name? Charlie. And he wasn't just a dog. To Leia, he was everything. You see, over the last 2 years, Leia had only spoken to 3 people. 3. Not because she was shy, but because something broke inside her. The day her world was shattered. The day her father lost control in a rage and shook her until she blacked out. Her body recovered. The bruises faded. But her voice never returned. No amount of therapy, no mountain of medicine, no comforting words could bring her back. Except Charlie. Charlie could. So when the court allowed Charlie to accompany her, her psychologist made it clear. He's not just a support animal. He's her bridge. The one thing that lets her cross from fear into safety. Judge Holloway, a woman in her 60s known for being no-nonsense, adjusted her glasses. She peered down over the bench at the little girl. "Leia," she said softly, "I'm going to ask you something. You don't have to say anything, not unless you're ready. Just nod or shake your head, if that's easier. All right?" But Leia didn't move. She didn't blink. Her fingers clenched tighter around the old stuffed toy. Then, her eyes flicked, just for a second, toward Charlie. And then it happened. Without saying a word, Leia lifted her tiny hand, so slowly, so gently, and made a motion in the air. Just a faint little swirl, using only her pinky finger. You could miss it if you blinked. Charlie didn't. His ears perked instantly. He rose to his feet. With the kind of calm that comes from deep training, or maybe something deeper, he walked straight to the stand, stood in front of Leia, and faced the entire room. Then he sat. Silent. Still. Strong. Leia tapped her chest. Once. Then again. Charlie barked, once. And the whole room stopped. Mouths dropped. Pens froze mid-sentence. Even the court reporter's fingers hovered in the air, unmoving. The judge leaned in, her voice hushed but urgent. What does that mean?" she asked, eyes wide, turning to the bailiff. From the back of the room, the psychologist stood. She stepped forward, her face pale, her hands shaking just a little. "That's the sequence," she said softly. "It's the one we practiced. That signal? It means she's ready to share. It's how she tells the truth when she's too scared to speak it." The judge sat, stunned. She whispered, "She's ready?" The psychologist nodded. "And she told me, if Charlie ever barks, I'm supposed to give you this." She walked to the bench and placed a small envelope into the judge's hands. Carefully, the judge opened it. Inside was a hand-drawn picture. It showed a small girl, clearly Leia, curled in the corner of a room, her arms over her head. A large man towered over her, his face twisted in fury. And in the corner, Charlie. barking, standing between the man and the girl. On the back, written in neat block letters, was one line. He says he loves me, but I'm only safe when he's not near. A ripple of shock passed through the room. The father stood up suddenly. This is outrageous. That dog is trained. She could've.
Sit down.
The judge's voice was thunder now. Her gavel hand shook with fury. If you speak again without permission, I will have you removed. Silence slammed back down like a curtain. Charlie remained at attention, his calm gaze fixed only on Leia. And then, Leia spoke. Her voice was thin, tired, raspy, but it was there. Charlie knows who keeps me safe, she whispered. He remembers even when I couldn't. The courtroom went completely still. Judge Holloway stared at the girl, her eyes misted over. Then, she turned to the mother. Ma'am, she said, I'm granting you full custody, effective immediately. The mother gasped, then broke down in tears. The father tried to rise again, but the bailiff stepped forward with quiet, steady power. There would be no more interruptions. The judge gathered her notes, then paused. Her hand hovered over the gavel. She looked at Leia, then at Charlie. You've said more in one moment, one signal, than many grown-ups manage in 1,000 words, she said, voice breaking. Then she set the gavel down, not with force, but with reverence. Not a judgment. A thank you. 6 months later, the sun danced through green leaves above a quiet park bench. Leia sat with a drawing pad in her lap, sketching, her hair blowing gently in the breeze. Charlie lay beside her, tail wagging peacefully. A little boy walked up. Can I pet your dog? He asked. Leia looked up and smiled, genuine and wide. You have to ask him first, she giggled. The boy tilted his head, confused.
How?
She tapped her chest twice. Charlie gave a happy bark and wagged his tail. And for the first time in years, Leia laughed. Not a polite laugh. Not a forced one. A deep, real laugh, filled with light. The bridge was working. And healing had finally begun. Sometimes, the smallest voices hold the deepest truths. And sometimes, the strongest protectors don't carry badges, they carry love. On 4 legs. In silence. Until the signal comes.